Hello, I'm Kendall, and this is episode 1 of Kendall Writes a Story. So we're starting bright and early this morning. I'm an early riser, so usually this is my favorite time to write and kind of brainstorm. So, what story are we writing? So, this is a really exciting one for me. It started a couple of months ago when my parents sent me this picture, that picture. I'll put it up here in post editing. But they sent me this picture of a set of steps in the woods, and so I am naturally trained. I'm academically trained in history. That's where I went to school to be a historian. I do nothing related to that in my day job. I'm in human resources. I'm a recruiter, so it has nothing to do with history. But when I see something unique or different, and naturally my question is, what was this? And so that was the first thing I started doing after I got this picture was, who built these steps? Where did these steps come from? And as I started digging into the historical records, and I'm from Arkansas. These steps are in Arkansas. They're just outside of Little Rock on Camp Robinson is where these are, on a popular trail. Anyways, I got to digging around in them. I realized there was a journey here. These were not just like random steps. What I found out was that somebody had homesteaded that place, which is kind of cool. Really interesting part of American history is the Homestead Acts, which we'll go into in this series because it's part of the story. But most importantly, it was homesteaded. It was one of about 1,000 people in the entire country. It was one of about 1,000 homesteads in the entire country that was settled during the Southern Homestead Act, which was made itself available to specifically freedmen. So these steps, this cabin, as the historical record shows, was actually built by this really cool freedman who lived. He was kind of the Forrest Gump of his time. He lived through a lot of very important things. He was a slave. He was born in 1825 in Alabama. And then he moved to Arkansas, where, as I found out, they have a very interesting view on slavery back during the 1860s, 1850s and 1860s. They had a very different type of slavery. It was different, not better, not worse, just very different. And our character, Abram, was a part of that. And then he got out and went through I think the really cool growth that we saw during Reconstruction. We saw the creation of schools and obviously the passage of the 13th and 14th Amendments, and a lot of work to give freedmen, whom I call freed folks just to be gender neutral, but at the time they called any freed slave a freedman. But lots of efforts to help freedmen find land, find work. I mean, just really cool. And so our fellow went through that. In the historical record, we can see him going through various portions of that over the decade. And then you have this really bad time in American history after Reconstruction ends. Basically, the troops get pulled out, and they say, South, you're on your own again, and bad things start to happen. And our fellow went through that as well. So what I've been doing is obviously doing this research and then building out a narrative. So this is going to be, hopefully, narrative nonfiction. Now there will be, and I'll be very open about what is true and what is not true. My goal right now is to have most of the characters be real people and based on their real thoughts or their real historical records. Obviously, I don't know their thoughts. Based on their real historical record. That's the goal. And then to, again, be open about like conversations, obviously, will be made up from my mind, and so just being very open about these conversations are fake, but they do represent a spirit of the time. And that's the goal, is like, obviously we don't know what people said to one another, what people felt, but what I would like to do is to impart, hopefully, some sincerity with the feelings of the time. So, that's the story that we're writing, so I'll end this video and then I'll start the next one, and it'll be on the characters, because that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, to be honest, I started working on this about a month ago, so I wish I would have started recording about a month ago, but now we get a perfect narrative piece where we start in the middle, and then I'll kind of walk us back and walk through the decisions I've already made. But so the next one will be characters, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'd rather start with the problem I have right now, and then over time we'll go through the things I've already worked through. So the next video will be on character development, and I'm having some issues, honestly, trying to impart the right characteristics on my characters. I want to make sure that they are still strong, but go along with the narrative in a way that works. Anyway, more on that in the next video. All right, thanks for coming along the ride. I hope you enjoy it, and have a great day. Enjoy your coffee.